Hey, you know, a lot of the students that I teach in person are not good golfers. On the contrary, quite a few of them are what you might put in the category of either beginners or hackers. And when I say hackers, I mean, let's define hackers as someone who consistently is above bogey golf. So if you're in the 90s, 100s, 110s, now I think this population is very underserved for tips on YouTube. So right after this, I want to give you just a few tips that are going to help your score get under 100, and maybe after that, break 92. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. If you get some value out of this video, I hope you'll hit like and subscribe. So probably the very first skill that we should learn as golfers, and what golfers that are shooting above 90, above 100, above 110 are often poor at, is the skill of what we would call controlling the low point. And that means you tend to hit the ground before you hit the ball. So the object in golf, in order to pop the ball up in the air and therefore get distance, get the ball to get high and not roll over the green, gonna have to control the low point, or where your divot is taken. Very easy to drill you can do at home is just to practice. I've got a 9-iron here, and I would just practice. You can put a ball in the center of your stance for reference, but all I'd be trying to do here is just take little chip swings. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm purposely going to try to sweep the ground, or even thump the ground. Hear that thump sound? I'm trying to do that at the left instep or the left heel. It's a really good rule of thumb that every club in your bag should bottom out pretty close to your left heel, or just inside your left heel. So what you do is you're just practicing sweeping back and forth, and try to find that spot consistently until you can really control it within an inch or so. And that's why once your divot is in front of the ball, your low point is in front of the ball, the ground therefore becomes your friend and not your enemy. So when you're hitting behind it here, the ground becomes your enemy. You chunk the ball, you top the ball, don't get it airborne, don't get any distance, don't get any accuracy. Just brush in front, and then later on, you can start adding a little more length. And keep learning. You're gonna need to do that drill. Look how many times I just did that, 20, 30 times, 50, 100 times a day, just little swings. Keep an old club somewhere nearby in your house or your backyard and just practice brushing off the left foot. The second most important skill that there is in learning how to play better golf is controlling the club face. What most hackers or beginners, they don't have this sensation of what the club face feels like, nor do they have a method that causes the club face to come through square time after time. So they're hooking it, they're slicing it a lot. After low point, this is the number 2 thing. I want you to pretend, got the 9-iron again, that you're setting a club down on a counter in front of you, like it's on your kitchen counter, and just swinging around you in about 180 degrees. Notice I have the toe of the club straight up in the air. I bring it around about 90, the toe is still up in the air. I bring it back around here, the toe is still up in the air. This is really exercise. It's giving you the feel of the curve, the curving of the arc, and the sensation of the club face going around that arc, square to that arc. So we're going to control our club face, we're going to control our plane and path. Don't even need to know those 2 things. All you need to know is it's a really good feeling drill to help you control the club face. Once you've done some of those, of course, once you add some bow to this, no longer bowing. Remember, it's going around a record player, a merry-go-round when you're tall. You're not going to try to repeat the merry-go-round now that you're bending. Yes, it moves around your navel the same way, but now there's going to be some verticality to that arc because it's still swinging horizontally or parallel around your waist. And so you'll have some elevation where you can get down to the ground. So you're taking that same feel and you can just hit some soft shots at the range, feeling the toe staying up throughout the swing. That ball is dead at the tree in the middle of my fairway here. I think that concept will help you quite a bit in keeping the ball straight down the middle most of the holes. So the number one complaint that hackers and beginners have is, I'm too inconsistent. I'm doing things different on every swing and every shot. Once you can get those first two ideas down, the control of that and the sensation of that club face staying square to the arc and bottoming out in the correct low point, think of it as a baseball analogy. You've got your home run hitters and you've got your singles hitters. In golf, especially when you're a beginner or a hacker, you want to make yourself a singles hitter. So you're just looking for a motion without trying to swing your hardest at all. You might even swing 50 or 60% of your hardest. Try to make identical swings in both tempo, keeping your balance, keeping it consistent feeling. We're looking for base hits. Golf is rewarded, your score is rewarded for stringing multiple singles together. A home run followed by 3 strikeouts is not good for the score. So you want to be a singles hitter. Got our 2 drills to begin with here. Here's just a single swing, just stroking it. It may not be my longest drive, but it's out there in play. You'd be shocked at how low your speed and power and distance need to be in order for you to break your greatest score. Keep in mind that the average distance that about an 18 handicap golfer hits it is only about 205 typically. So anything after that you don't really need. In fact, you can play a good game of golf even at 190 if you're really following the next couple of tips as well. All right, now let's say that I've hit my drive and I hit a single right up the middle with my drive around 200 yards, and now it's a fairly long par 4. I've got 175 yards left, and typically for you, you might be pulling out a hybrid or a 3-wood, something like that, and you're in what I would call the red zone. This is pretty much for, in most cases, this is going to be the don't do it. Again, going back to, you don't need home runs, you need singles. So I can hit the hybrid, I might be able to cover the distance some of the time. So be honest with yourself, how often out of 10 do you actually hit your hybrid 175 or 180 yards? How many times do you roll it or slice it into the bushes or do something odd with it? Well, what if there's any trouble up by the green? What if you're the world's worst bunker player and there's 3 bunkers up by the green that you could randomly go in any of the 3? That's why I call this the red zone. You're more likely to lose strokes to par when you try to cover the distance with a long club at this handicap. So instead of covering the 175 in 1 stroke, I've got my 9-iron again, and it'd be hard for you to really screw up a 9-iron as bad. And I'm just going to try to hit this soft again with those 2 rules. And let's say you can hit a 9-iron out there 120 yards, including you got 5 or 6 yards of roll when it landed. So very typical distance for this handicap, about 120. What's that going to leave me with? It's going to leave me with about 55 yards. I have already avoided all the trouble around the green. I've eliminated most of the trouble around the green. Now I can come in with a pitch shot, and I can just be very safe and aim it for the middle of the green and try my best to 2-putt from there. And that brings us to the last tip for hackers, beginner golfers, golfers that shoot over 90. You're looking to eliminate 7s and 8s. Again, being a singles hitter, don't go for it in the red zone, all these things. What you'd like to do is have your pars and bogeys outnumber your doubles and triples, eliminate all the other ones. If you can, only have a double bogey, your highest score. You can do this fairly easily if you plan it. But instead of planning it from the tee, I want you to plan it from the hole back. I want you to play the hole backwards in your mind, and you're going to come up with kind of a battle plan for that hole. Now, we have that same 375-yard hole, and that's, if you're getting holes longer than that, at your handicap, you're probably on the wrong tees. I know occasionally off the white tees, you can see a hole that's 400 yards, par 4. Pretty tough. I wouldn't mind if you made a 6 on that hole. That's probably going to be your personal par. So a bogey would be like your personal birdie. Consider a bogey a birdie and play it backwards. So if we had 5 shots on this 375-yard hole, let's start with a tap in for bogey. So we're going to be inside 2 feet. We're going to define that as our tap in. Yeah, I know we can miss that, but inside 2 feet is the distance that your percentage of pulling off as close to the pros as you're going to get on any shot. So very little loss in strokes between you and a PGA pro from less than 2 feet. So that's your first shot. Now, what would the next shot back look like if you had a tap in from 2 feet? Oh, you'd have a putt from, say, 5 feet out to 15 feet, maybe even 20 feet. Can you roll it up inside 2 feet from 20 feet most of the time? Maybe that's the outer limit, but let's say 10, 15 feet. What's the next stroke before that? Probably some kind of chip shot or some kind of short pitch out to, say, 30, 40, or maybe 50 yards. Now, if you could go 50 yards to 20 feet, you're ahead of the game. Hopefully, you can still make it up to 2 feet from there and tap it in. Now, what's the next shot? Just like we played these holes in our red zone game, the next shot would be a shot from, say, 160 to 180 yards out. I would take out, well, if I had 180 yards and I need to get it to 50 or 40 or 30, I need a shot of 130 to 150 yards. So that might be anywhere from a 9-iron, 8-iron, 7-iron, 6-iron for you. Remember, you even get a little bit of roll in the fairway, so not hard to cover that distance. You don't even have to swing your hardest. You just have to swing your single swing and knock it up there 30 to 50. Maybe it gets lucky and it rolls up to 10 yards short of the green. That just makes the last part of the hole easier. Now, how are we going to get that shot from there, 160, 180 out? We need a 180 to 200 yard drive. It doesn't even have to be in the fairway. It just has to be enough in play to where we can get that 7, 8 iron on it for the next shot. So you can have a little bit of rough. You can even have a little tree trouble. You've got the whole fairway to work with. And that's how you play a hole backwards. Now, your advanced strategy there, once you get a feel for it, is play for some angles. So if you see the opening to the green, or the flag is on the left and the opening's on the right, you could go down the right-hand side. So you have the easiest chip or pitch up to the flag. The other thing you could do is make sure that your ball stays under the hole. So purposely try to chip and putt so that the next shot is uphill. Now, this takes more execution, of course, but I think that's what you should strive for once you get this basic strategy. So a hole like this, you would typically get 2 strokes on. That would mean that a bogey would be a net birdie, and that would be great, because this also builds in, I know you're going to ask about this, is screw-ups. Well, Steve, what if I screw up? I'm going to screw something up on the way to this perfect battle plan, right? Okay, you completely screw up a shot, you whiff it, top it. It's still going to net you a par, even if you had one complete screw up that gets you no further closer to the green or worse. You're still going to make a net par off of this battle plan. So you just suck it up, you continue on with the plan. You could even screw up 2 shots, that would be a net bogey, which at least you can still make up and even out on the next hole with a net birdie. And so you play that game of net birdie, net par, net bogey. Try not to get anything above that. Hopefully you're going to be down and breaking 100 for the first time. Okay, so with these simple concepts, drills, and strategies that I've covered in this video, I'm hoping that some of you out there will be able to dramatically cut your handicap and your average score. Hopefully from this, somebody will break 100 for the first time. Hopefully somebody out there will break 90 for the first time, and that's what this video is all about. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I hope this helps. I'm Steve. Check out my website, hititlonger.com, for even more videos and articles that I'm sure are going to help your game. And if I don't see you in the next video, I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.